Assalamu alaikum. Hello everybody, here is Toefl, your host, and today with scale 11 of the Toefl Pbt test. Scale 11, use adjective clause connectors correctly. An adjective clause is a clause that describes a noun because the clause is an adjective. It is positioned directly after the noun that it describes. The woman is filling the glass that she put on the table. This is the adjective clause, as you can see here. It describes this glass. Which glass the woman has filled, or which glass the woman is filling. The glass that is put in the table, or that she put in the table. What comes after the glass describes the glass. The glass that she put on the table contains milk. That's another way of using the adjective clause here. So that she put on the table describes the glass as well. In the first example, there are two clauses. Woman is the subject of the verb is filling, and she is the subject of the verb put. Let's see. Woman is the subject of is filling, and she is the subject of put. That is the adjective clause connector that joins these two clauses and the adjective clause that she put on the table. So this one here, that is connecting the woman is filling the glass and that she put in the table. The adjective clause that she put in the table describes the noun glass. That she put in the table here describes this noun glass. In the second example, there are also two clauses. Glass is the subject of the verb contains, and she is the subject of the verb put. Let's see. The glass contains, okay, she put. In the sentence also, that is the adjective clause connector that joins these two clauses here, this one. The glass contains and she put in the table. An adjective clause that she put in the table describes the noun glass here, the boxed one here, describe this glass. The following example shows how this sentence pattern could be tested in structure questions of the Toefl test. The gift selected for the bride was rather expensive. If you can look carefully here, the gift was rather expensive. That's very complete. Selected for the bride. Selected could be second form of the verb, could be adjective as being the third form of the verb, or could be part of the verb, let's say. Because doesn't work because it's a connector, and at this case I wouldn't have anything that matches this verb select, so I need a subject here for this one, okay, for the verb select. Otherwise I need a subject to make it adjective. Was, the gift was selected, yes, okay. For the bride was rather expensive. I have one subject and two verbs. Was selected, was rather, was expensive. So this doesn't work. Two subjects, two verbs. Since is not a subject. Which, we. This is the only answer can work, because which is a connector and we is the subject of the verb selected, and which we selected can describe the word gift. Let's see the explanation. In this example, you should notice quickly that there are two clauses. Gift is the subject of the verb was, and the verb selected needs a subject. Because there are two clauses, a connector is also needed. Answer A, C have connectors, but there are no subject. So these answers are not correct. Answer B changes selected into a passive verb. In this case, the sentence would have one subject and two verbs, as we said before. So answer B is not correct. The best answer to this question is answer D. The correct sentence should say, the gift which we selected for the bride was rather expensive. In this sentence, gift is the subject of the verb was, we is the subject of the verb selected, and the connector which joins these two clauses. The following chart lists the adjective clause connectors and the sentence pattern used with them. Here it is. Whom, which, that. Whom for people, and of course comes for object. Which for things, and that for both. Is the pattern subject verb, adjective connectors, and adjective clause, and then subject verb. I like the book which he recommended. I liked subject, verb. The book, this is the word I'm going to describe, which is a connector. You recommended, subject, verb, which you recommended describes which book you liked. The book which you recommended was interesting. This is the second pattern. The book, this is the word I need to describe, and it's a subject for the verb was interesting, and which is a connector, and you recommended subject, verb, and which you recommended is adjectival clause that works to describe the word book. Note that the adjective connector can be omitted. The omission is very common in spoken English, in casual written English. It is not common in formal English or in a structure question or Toefl test. I mean, generally you can omit. Omit means you can remove it. Why you can remove? Because it comes instead of the object, not of the subject. For example, you can say, I like the book you recommended. The book you recommended was interesting. Why? Because this here is not coming instead of the subject. If it's the subject, I cannot remove it, because you can't remove something. You can't remove a connector which stands for the subject, and this is a skill we're going to take soon, inshallah. Anyway, let's go to exercise. Exercise 11. Each of the following sentences contain more than one clause. Underline the subject once and the verb twice. Circle the connectors. Put boxes around the adjective clauses. Then indicate if the sentences are correct, C, or incorrect, I. As usual, 1 and 2 are done. Let's go to 3. I just finished reading the novel whom the professor suggested for my book report. 3. This is I as subject. Finished, this the verb. The novel, this is the word I'm going to describe. Whom doesn't describe things like this. It describes people. So this connector is not correct. If I remove it, I used which, this sentence would be great, because I have here the professor's subject suggested as the verb, but whom is wrong connector. This sentence is wrong, incorrect. 4. The plane that he was scheduled to take to Hawaii was delayed. Generally, easily, the play was delayed, but that describes the plane is the connector, and he was subject and verb. That he was scheduled to take to Hawaii, all of this describes is the adjective clause, describes the word plane. 4 is correct. 5. The movie which we watched on cable last night, it was really frightening. The movie, this is the subject. It was, as you can see here, that's extra subject. Why? Because was here is the verb of the word movie. So what does this word it do here? Which is a connector. We, subject, watch it, this is the verb. Which we watch it, this is the adjective clause that describes the word the movie, but this sentence has extra subject, so 5 is incorrect. 6. I made an appointment with the doctor whom you recommended. I, subject, made, verb, an appointment with the doctor. The doctor whom is a connector. You, subject, recommended is the verb. Whom you recommended is adjective clause that describes the word doctor. 6 is correct. 7. The enthusiasm with which he greeted me made me feel welcome. The enthusiasm, this is the verb. With which here is the connector. He greeted, this is subject and verb. With which he greeted this, the adjective clause that describes the word enthusiasm, but it comes with preposition, doesn't make any difference. Made is the verb of the word of the subject, the enthusiasm. So 7 is correct. 8. The story that you told me about Bob. The story subject, that is a connector, you subject, and told is the verb. That you told is the adjective clause that describes the word the story, but where is the subject, but where is the verb of the subject story? Here. So the story that you told me about Bob was nice, was good, made me cry, I should continue. So this sentence is incorrect, it's missing a verb. 9. The men with whom we're having discussion didn't seem very friendly. The men, subject, preposition, whom is the connector, where having, this is the verb, but where is the subject of the verb we're having, because whom cannot be the subject, so this is missing a subject here. Did or didn't, this is the verb of the subject, the men. So the noun clause is missing a subject. So it should have been like this. The men with whom you were having the discussion didn't seem very friendly. This would work. So I should add a subject after the connector whom for the verb we're having. 9 is incorrect. 10. I'm not really sure about taking part in the plan that we made last night. I'm not really sure. I, the subject, am is the verb. Not really sure about preposition. Taking part in the plans that. The plans is the word I'm going to describe because it's followed by the connector. We made, subject, verb. That we made last night is the adjective clause that describes the word, the plans. So this sentence 10 is totally correct. Now, I also hope you can analyze the way that you get the adjective clause, the subject and the verb, and describe how it works. And I hope you do more examples to be able to analyze it very well and to answer these questions when it comes in the TOEFL structure. Until we meet for another skill, take care of yourself and goodbye.